Hello, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural issue of Poetry in Brief, the magazine, which I'm calling PiB, the magazine. This is our lunch party. Yay! Yay! It's really good to party at, noon. That's where I am. I intend to do some day drinking later. Okay, welcome. I'm so excited for you all to be here, and I'm really excited that you wanted to participate in the magazine and come to this reading series also. This is an invited reading series, and I also asked the invited readers to submit to the magazine. And then for a very short time, I think it was like 2 days, we had a window managed by Nisi Boutre and Nina Nicole Gardner of submissions from others. And from those submissions, we chose just three to include in the magazine. And Emily St. James, your piece was one of them. So excited to see you here. You're a new member of our PIB family. Welcome. Everything Poetry in Brief is on my website, tourneytalks.com. Why Tourney Talks? Because I was an elementary school teacher and we had three guidelines of our classroom. One, the very first one was when Turney talks, I listen. Okay, and I wish everybody would do that. It's important for women's voices to be heard. The second one was keep your hands and feet to yourself, and the third one was respect other people, and that's pretty much how I keep things going today. So, welcome everybody. I want to start by sharing Sierra Gabrielle Sindor's art, Aloof. This is a piece that's on the cover. It really spoke to me about like our inner demons and our inner self, and that's why I chose it as our cover. She's not here today, but you can support her work at Art of Sierra. I think she has a big sale going on. Okay, we're going in the order that people appeared in the magazine, and that means that Adam Breier is first. Adam, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you're going to read, and then read for us.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you so much for this community, for fostering it and keeping it going. It's fantastic. And I'm so happy to see so many familiar faces and to meet new ones. All right, so I'm going to read the one piece that's in the magazine. I'll also read another if there's time, also a brief piece. What's happening now? Well, I have a forthcoming collection that will be coming out with the Poetry Lighthouse in 2027, titled Mumbled Promises. And most recently, the second poem I'm going to read was published yesterday in Tension Literary. So that would be the most recent other thing that's happening for me. And once I'm done, I'll put my Instagram and website in the chat, and would love to be followed and to then follow in return. All right, so the piece included in the magazine is titled From the Corner. I see them walking with dogs they love, lovers they hate, leaving a trail they're unwilling to see. I hear them cursing the government because it's failing, themselves because they're no better, and their outfits that itch in places where they cannot scratch. I smell them coated in cheap department store scent and the pungent struggle they won't acknowledge. Every day, hoping to join them, every evening, thankful this wish can never come true. Thank you. And so the poem, thank you very much. The poem that was published yesterday in Tension Literary is titled The Cost of Joy. You can choose to drool at the bowl of chewable pastel mints next to the Bell Boulevard Diner cash register, ignoring their exposure to sneezes and coughs, laughter, tears, and spit. Or shape your hand like a crane, dig your fingers and thumb deep, grab your fistful, and feed, trusting that you will digest the good with the bad and that whatever comes after was worth the joy you swallowed. Thank you very much. Oh, appreciate that, Sandra. Thanks so very much, everyone. I can't wait to hear your works.
Thank you, Adam. I chose your piece for the magazine because I liked the societal commentary. That's something that you do very well as an observer. A lot of your pieces are you observing, and so I really liked that, and that's why I put it in the magazine. Thanks so much. And we will be press buddies over at the Poetry Lighthouse, so that's exciting too. With Cynthia too. Cynthia's also here. She's in your same cohort, right? Yeah. hmm Good. We'll talk more about that.
Are we all doing a reading in London?
Yeah, I think we should definitely do that. I I can't wait for Erwin to meet us. He's gonna be like,
Come
oh
visit
God.
me.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love
yeah,
it.
Ella can come. Ella will come to London. Yay.
I'm only 45 minutes away.
Yeah, we'll maybe we'll come down and bother you too. That would be fun. If you missed it, we are reading in the order that you appeared in the magazine. I'm popping that order into the chat. We're reading your piece from the magazine if you'd like, or one other piece and or so two pieces, keeping with our brief theme. And we look forward to seeing Mumbled Promises, Adam. And we'll all help and support you with that. Our next reader is Ella B. Winters.
Is it?
Yeah, right?
Is it me on the list? Sorry, the list I have goes in a completely different order. The list that you've got popped. It doesn't matter.
Well, not everybody's here. So just the people that are here from this list.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay, we got
I'm just looking at that list and thinking, I'm way, way down.
No,
How do we
okay,
get
this
to
is
meet
the
you
list of
guys?
everybody, and then you came, so here you are.
Excellent. Okay. Well, with that embarrassment out of the way, I can't embarrass myself any further by reading my work now, can I? Like, it can't get any worse. Okay, so yeah, I'll read like Adam, my poem from the magazine, and then I'll read another one. And the second poem that I chose to read is I know that did you have your Moss Puppy collab for Poetry in Brief earlier today? Yeah, and I saw Melissa's here. So I will read the poem that they published late last year. So the poem from Poetry in Brief is called A Woman of Substance. Somewhere between the Big Bang and the rupture, I forgot myself. Started doing what I'm told, changing my toothbrush every 3 months because I'm scared of teeth crumbling in my mouth. I've had that dream before, the shock of their edges chalk powder on my tongue. I learned to fold my easy thoughts in thirds, like guest towels kept inside a glass front display, kick the rest to the corner of the room, crumpled with yesterday's underwear, an embarrassing pile stained with evidence of life, of needing. Now I don't know how to wear this slim body that has no wants aside from those it was told it must have. I claw at the surface, peeling myself to the pearlescent bone. There is something left under the flaking skin, after all. And yeah, in the spirit of things being brief, the second poem is called Through a Quiet Nursery Window. It's only short. It's, I don't know, do you want trigger warnings, Rachel, or not? Yes. So it's child loss, not explicit, I guess. So it's called Through a Quiet Nursery Window. There are deer on the lawn. How splendid it is to have deer on the lawn, and the sun on the lawn, radiant blindfold, and the daisies, they come out every year pushing up the winter-ravaged earth, scattered innocence on the lawn, a ghostly giggle. Not quite there, on the lawn, is a ball, discarded bicycle, jagged tooth in a small box, softly sinking, heart. The whole fractured world is on the lawn. Thank you. Yeah, I'll pop my details from my socials and things in the chat. If people want to follow me, that's great. I think a lot of people, we are already mutual followers, so that's nice.
Ella, I chose your piece because it really spoke to me of the anxiety of womanhood. And that's something I really like to see captured, you know. I thought that was great. Okay, and tell us about your chapbook you're shopping around.
Yeah, so I'm shopping around a chapbook called Notes from a Hospital, which is a sort of um, mix of so I'm a mental health social worker by profession, and so it's a mix of sort of um, fictionalized accounts from a psychiatric hospital mixed together with sort of personal narratives of an individual who's a person who is engaged in working in a place like that, and it's kind of trying to be a bit of a social commentary on I guess the kind of them and othernet, them and us's of psychiatry, of mental health services broadly, the othering of people who experience mental health, and kind of the futility of that, I suppose. And I'm just pulling together a micro chap as well, that actually Adam's having a little crack at being one of the first readers for, which is exciting, which is kind of a sequence of 7 poems which are connected to each other. So yes, I'm really excited to get that one out to see if somebody picks that up as well.
Wonderful. And I know all of this because I told Ella, good luck, but not too much luck because we've submitted our chapbooks to the same places in the same competitions all summer. I'm kidding. I would be very happy for you.
Likewise. Maybe we'll both make it.
Yeah, fabulous. Our next reader was chosen from our very brief open window, and we only took 3 pieces from that window with guest editors Nisi Boutre and Nina Nicole Gardner, Emily St. James.
Thank you. I'm so happy just to be able to be part of this group. It's just really amazing. So I'm going to read my first one that y'all did put in. Y'all, I live in Texas. And then I'm going to read a shorter one that I have too. This is called Are You Asking Me? AKA the things my mom, dad, and grandma can no longer tell me. How did I become the elder? The one who should know all the things, how to get a stain out, how to make jello, what to do to thicken your stew, how to do your taxes, how to buy a house, get a loan, plan for retirement, book a hotel room, make stuffing, what to do with daughters-in-law, how to budget, what to do when you have a flat in the middle of nowhere, how to decide which job to take, to be a good parent to adults, what to say after a miscarriage, to remember the birthdays, to remember to pay bills, how to invest with no money, how to know when to hold them, fold them, and all the other things Kenny Rogers taught us, when to plant a garden, when to sell the farms, how to bake bread, when to go to the doctor or put a dog to sleep, how much today resembles yesterday and is nothing like it at all, how to play spades and when to go Nello, and how to keep score and when to apologize and how late is too late, how to poach an egg perfectly and why I would want to, who to trust in the family and friends, where to find a good seamstress now that Aunt Cabby and Mary Kathryn are gone, how to navigate menopause land, to tie a good tie knot, what to do when the face of death hits closer to home, how to encourage sobriety, and how to tell your kid to stop being a dick. What to do with old socks and underwear, how to stop hoarding, to buy a car, to find a church home, to know when the meat is done, to change a name after marriage. Why are you asking me? How am I supposed to know any of this? When did I become the wise woman whose advice you seek? And really, are you even listening to my answer? So I have 3 grown sons, so that's kind of where this came from, and my parents are dead. So here's my other one. Where have you been? Her gentle whisper in the wind. I've been in the classroom, grading papers on the couch with an attached nursing infant and a 2-year-old with a sippy cup and a 5-year-old watching Blue's Clues. Where have you been? She asks again. I've been teaching tomorrow how to write and read and be kind and empathetic, while the Mrs. McClure, Rose, and Rice partnered with Steve to bring the same to my own kids. But where have you been? Her whispering and urgent ask. I've been in a pen at a stock show, reading on my Kindle, waiting for the boys to show the pigs. I've been driving them to the barn to feed and water and walk while I read what I didn't write on my Kindle. Where have you been? An almost hissing ask. I've been to all the t-ball and baseball games and the professional ballparks for fun, to multiple basketball gyms across the region and state, to the fields under Friday night lights, somewhere close to 250 games across the state of Texas, to track meets in the cold and the rain and the wind and the dust and the sun. She breathes in deep and exhale on the wind, almost lost. But in the silence, I can finally hear as she asks again, but where have you been? And so I'm working on a chapbook. I have a book out that I did like 10 years ago that's titled Shattered Pieces. And then I have a chapbook that I'm working on that's in my menopause era. And then I have another book that I'm trying to get together, which is Orphaned in an Empty Nest. And it's collecting a bunch of mine. So, and I will put my Instagram in the chat too.
Great. Thank you so much, Emily. I chose, and I usually shy away from longer pieces, but I really liked your piece, even though it was a bit longer than what I normally read. And I liked it because of the build of anxiety of taking on all of these responsibilities really came through, and it needed to be longer, you know. And so I loved that. I have a section on my website called Submission Opportunities where I'm posting presses that I really believe in and have worked with and can say actual things about. So that's a good place for people to check out submission opportunities too. Our next reader is Cynthia Atkins.
I'm muted. Hi. Hi, everybody. Thanks for hanging on a hot Saturday afternoon. Rachel, thanks for all you do for all of us. It's incredible, really. You really brought a community together, and I'm grateful for it. So thank you. I love this first issue of the journal and being in the company of all these amazing poets that I've come to know and inspired by, and just how eclectic the voices are here. So it's pretty exciting. Poetry in brief, and my poem there is called Artificially. AI is going to be the bane of our existence. I'm afraid of it, and it's here to stay, I'm afraid. So we have to learn how to kind of have it in our lives, not to love it, but to work around it, I guess. Artificially. Shallow is with me wherever I go. At the grocery store checkout, dumbing me down to the nubbin, dull pencil of laziness. I'm stupid, but irresistible. Crown my digital mall apparel. Hashtags are hanging from my pixelated pockets. I'm sad as an auto accident after everyone leaves. I'm flat as an artifact pressed between two books. I have been groomed by the well-meaning New Age hippies trying to lure me into the earth of their coven. I used to be a boutique original. My jeans had holes for a higher price. I used to have pigtails and an imagination. Now I'm a timestamp, sticker price, programmed with high resolution, but no romance. They're trying to numb me out of existence. Intimacy plundered by formulas and passcodes. I am the seamstress's prized dress floating in a pond with sleeves puffed out like birthday balloons. Thank you. That was from a new chapbook, or I don't know if it's a chapbook or a full length that I'm working on. Um, so thanks for being one of my first publications in my new, whatever it is. I don't even have a title for it yet. Um, so we just get going from somewhere and hope that there's a thread that leads us through. This is from a chapbook I did collaboratively with Alexis Roan Fancher. I don't know if you don't know her, wonderful poet in California, who I just got to see last week and visit her. And we wrote this poem to keep ourselves going through COVID. She's a photographer and she would give us a photograph each week, and then we would write to it and then come back and workshop it. And it ended up, and I was going to suggest Herber Editions for a place to send your chaps. They read quite often, they have contests, and anyway, they put out a lovely book. And I thought I'd read this Edward Hopper poem called Diminution at 11 a.m. Somebody said something about mental health, and yes, I write a lot about that as well. I guess we can't get away from it. I always think mental illness is a sexier term that gets your attention. Mental health is us and everybody. So this is called Diminution, 11 a.m., and will be in my Poetry Lighthouse book, The Honeymoon of Sorrows. So please look for it in 2027. Diminution, 11 a.m. After Edward Hopper. Blue to yellow, the voice told me not to bathe. The voice said the window is a guardrail, said today is just like tomorrow. There is no safety from the noise and the sorrow of birds. Told me to sit very still like a red clay pot on a shelf. The voice said, don't take out the trash. Don't make up the bed. Beauty only makes pain bellow worse until the mattress takes up all the air in the room. Said to deadbolt the door where latchkey brats dwell. Once my breasts were savvy as two new bucket seats. The railroad tracks took my love to another town to raise another woman's children. The voice said, the sun will crack your skin like paint on an old wall. The voice said, you're not here, you're an erasure. Said the radio would tune out the pathos of loose wires. Little motes of silence trip the air. My lips are hugging the voice. The chatter of teeth. Make yourself naked. Make yourself null. Make yourself small as a toothpick in his teeth with shoes like daggers. Sorry to read such a dark poem. I was in Edward Hopper kind of mood. Thank you. Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks, Cynthia. I chose your piece, frankly, because it was just so weird. Like, I read it and I was like, I've never read anything like this before. And then I loved the commentary on AI. I opened the magazine with commentary from Samantha Terrell about violence in America. And so I thought, oh, this is so important to have something about AI in a magazine right now, too, that's speaking to that. So I love that. And we'll be on the lookout for The Honeymoon of Sorrows with the Poetry Lighthouse 2027. And you'll be my press buddy. Yay. If you're talking, you're muted.
Just said I want to read with all my new pressmates.
Yeah, we'll do that. It'll be fun. Our next reader is Sandra Beth Levy. Sandra.
Hi, thank you, Rachel, and everyone. It's so wonderful to see you all hear these fabulous poems, be part of this community. I really have such gratitude. So, the first poem I'm going to read is a very short poem, the one that Rachel wanted for this poetry magazine, because she loves a good love poem. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll read one more poem. Let me see here. The title is Rich. My skin of kneaded thick dough and spice spins in the moist mouth of my love, a haven for kisses and tongue-tipped taffy, salt of the sea swimming my kaleidoscopic imagination. An ocean bejeweled, expansive, prismatic, where colors erupt as celebration fireworks that ripple through our skies. Rituals of abundance, your kisses on my skin. Imagine being this rich. And on the subject of love, I thought I would read to you a poem from my upcoming chapbook, Unfurling the Scroll of 7 Decades, which will be available for pre-sale with Finishing Line Press at the end of October, and will officially drop, I think, the end of February. It's also a love poem, but of a different nature. I wrote it about a year and a half ago on vacation with my love. We'll be celebrating our 40th wedding anniversary this August. And it was in the context of being on a wonderful paradise vacation in the Caribbean just after Trump was elected. It's basically a love poem, but that's in the background. It's titled Sombrero Night. And maybe it's a little long for you, Rachel, but we'll see. That night at La Casita restaurant, they put a sombrero on your head. The waves washed us clean and salty. Our hearts were swimming schools of fish, yellow and silver. You saw a lobster in a cave 20 feet under the sea, pointed out by the dive master's finger of your scuba group. In the afternoon, while I bathed wholly my pearly feet in a Caribbean bath, aqua, emerald, blue, along the curvy shoreline. We were happy celebrating you arriving age 67, same age your father passed. You have surpassed him. That same day, I was afraid of World War III. Would we live to see grandchildren? Our 2 grown sons held in our mouths in conversation, still children in our minds, so funny and so bright, magnets lighting up the sky, our laughter uncontainable in our digits, fingers dancing in the sun, here in paradise on an island. Penny and Molly buying the first round of drinks for your birthday, having met them yesterday, waist deep, dripping in warm ocean water, them wanting to move here from Kentucky. The sparkler and waitstaff sang happy birthday in the screened-in porch, decorated with colored light bulbs and tropical foliage. Flamed your fajitas at the table beside us, sending fire across the sea to our children who love you. My 8th decade upon us. But we were in our 20s drinking strawberry margaritas. You sipped with a smile at La Casita. The same time I lived an entire life, lived once before. They gave you free dessert, just like in graduate school on our dates. I dipped the warm chiringas in buttery caramel sauce, licked dark chocolate off my fingertips because you were full and happy, still in love with me. And I am still in love with you this paradise vacation while I worry about the eruption of World War III. Thank you.
I always say there should be like a support group for people who are partners with poets called like uh, Partners of Poets, seeking support, something like this. It's rough for them. That's Bob, right? Yeah. I thought I'd
Yes, and
agree.
you have a wonderful poem in the poetry lighthouse book, the B side, about the perspective of your husband, which we read together and crack up about all the time.
Yeah, what it must be like to be my poor husband. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he's a poet too. He just doesn't write it down, you know. And I actually met him while swimming in the Caribbean when he was on a scuba trip, and I was just generally hiding from the world during the pandemic. So, so your poem connected to me. Our next reader is Michael DuBon.
Hi, everyone. So good to hear everyone and see everyone. And thank you again, Rachel, to echo everyone for all your awesome work on this. It's so cool. You're always doing so many cool things to bring the literary community together. So I really appreciate you. Um, First, I'll read the poem from Poetry in Brief, which is a love poem. Is called Ambient Electrolytes. I dream us on parallel hip abductors. The weight of feeling truly seen presses upon our buff lips, balancing one syllable fucks that almost pierce the veil beyond fitness trackers, thick sweats and thicker protein shakes. We're nude, oblique, licking our teeth in a field of purple workout machines. I ask if you can come over this afternoon. You can't. I do and don't know why. We worry about each other, losing electrolytes, kiss by kiss, our abs struggling to maintain the right amount of tension. Thank you. And the second poem I will read is from my first book collection ever, of any kind of collection I have, coming out next fall with 2027 with Girl Noise Press. Um, and it kind of investigates, like, it's called Fragilidad de Free Dissociation. So Fragilidad is kind of like personal, cultural borderlands of first generation citizen life in the United States. And then the free dissociation is kind of like that amidst the socio-political background in satire. And so this one's kind of right in the middle. And this one's called My Beige Healing Journey. I feel a rattling in the beige counseling office, a mid-30s sneeze that shakes my bones, throws out my back with a whip crack of a rib breaking, a disc slipping along an electric slide. I tell my therapist, my ghost has trauma. It's all bloody, even in the eyes and shit. She tells me, of course, because your ghost is fucking dead. Oh, I get it. I don't get it. Oh, wait, no. I may enter the divergent state now. Some circles that look like squares, some ink blots that look like smears, some dimensions that look like they house tentacle bearded overlords. And so now she tells me that I am now ready to put a name to all this loss of basic human recognition. Everyone's doing the trauma drama shuffle, I realize on the beige chaise, free disassociating. It's just like the Urkel, but you cry while you weave through the same motions. So I get up, I dance, fists, clapping from front to back, forcing another tear down my spine. Thank you, everyone.
Beautiful, Michael. I chose Sandra, Michael, and also Paul Short, who's not here now, their pieces because, I really think that sensuality and being open about sexuality is super important, especially in combating sexual violence and trauma. So those are pieces that really spoke to me through that lens. Michael, I have a question for you. I noticed that the title of the poem included in the magazine is similar to some other works that you have out. Is this part of the collection that you have coming?
Um, no, I have like a whole other manuscript of love poems called The Ambient Wing, that I'm trying to send out. So there's that, but I might combine it with like my third manuscript to kind of do a blend of love poems and something else. I'm still working about that. Right now it's currently out as like in submission mode as like a big collection of love poems, but we'll see. Good. Thank you for asking.
Yes, that makes sense. I figured you must have something going on like that. Great, wonderful. Well, we hope to see that out in the printed world. Our next reader is Kathryn Stewart. Kathryn is part of something I wanted to do, which was bringing a poet forward who had not published before. So this is her first published piece. Kathryn.
Hi, Rachel. As you mentioned, this is my first piece. Thank you so much for having me here. This is entitled Pearls, and it is, we once were seas deep and blue, jewels and pearls gleamed within, unknown depth, intriguing all. Slowly drained, we lay wasting, hardened edges, into mirrors we grow. Reflecting mirrors onto mirrors onto mirrors, fractals of pearls splayed within. Thank you.
Wonderful, Kathryn. And Kathryn, what do you think is the future of your poetry career?
I don't currently have anything concretely mapped, but I might submit a few things.
I'd be very happy to help you with that. Kathryn is also my stepdaughter. You can see the resemblance. Our concluding reader is Jhané. Jhané submitted the only piece of fiction to us. Well, what Jhané is calling fiction. I was like, is this fiction or CNF? Okay, Jhané, I'll turn it over to you.
This is not a true story. Maybe like some true elements to the story. But yeah, thank you so much. This is not a brief piece, so I am defeating the purpose of the in brief part, but I'll just read the one and then I'll share more about kind of where you can find me and things like that. Yeah, so this piece is called Someone Like Her. Um, and it is a short story, so here we go. I met Kelly one chilly Saturday night in December. I was out bar hopping with three of my friends in the Rainbow District. Nothing like alcohol to warm up your insides. Well, that and dancing body to body with strangers. We were at our favorite place, Charlie's. It was a small old warehouse that had been converted into a bar. It was popular, known for the best drag shows in the district. I was sitting at the bar while my friends took to the dance floor. My crew could not resist Pink Pony Club. I ordered a vodka lemon, my usual, when Kelly strolled up to the bar. I didn't notice her immediately, not until my drink came and she asked me, "What are you having?" I told her. She said, "May I?" And before I could answer, she had wrapped her French tip nails around my glass. For a moment, I thought about how her manicured hand would feel around my throat, but I quickly pushed the thought aside. She looked me in the eye as she drank and licked some of the sugar off the rim. It was very intense, very flirtatious. Refreshing, she said, handing it back. Her dark red lipstick stained my glass. I was curious about her. She turned back to the bar to wait for her drink, and I finally began to take her in. She was about 5'4", a few inches taller than me, several years my senior, and my mother's, if I had to guess. Something about her age, her confidence, the way she carried herself, it all pressed a button I didn't know I had. She reminded me of something I longed for but never gotten. She had great posture to match her confidence, dark cropped hair, hazel eyes, the figure of someone who keeps up with the gym, though not religiously. There was an elegance to her, but also this hint of edginess. The most noticeable thing, though, was her smile. She had one of the best smiles I'd ever seen. It was large and genuine, lit up the room in her whole face, and really made you want to look at her. It was inviting. Kelly got her drink and found a table in the dimly lit back of the bar. She sipped and people watched and smiled here and there. I turned back to look at her a couple of times to ensure she wasn't someone my hazy brain had conjured up. Each time she was still there, not a figment of my imagination at all. She spotted me looking once and beckoned me over with a slight nod of her head and that warm, inviting smile. I grabbed my half-empty drink and headed over to her. We didn't start talking as soon as I sat down. I scanned the crowd, found my friends dancing till we found love with some people they befriended. They never met strangers. One of them smiled over at me. I returned a smile. Kelly asked me about my friends, seemed genuinely interested. The conversation went on from there, me telling her how I met each of my friends, Ari through college, Chandler through mutual friends, and so on. She told me about the excitement and nervousness that came with exploring her sexuality later in life. Kelly was confident, witty, funny, and piquant. She took me by surprise in the best ways. She told stories with such command, I could sit and listen to her all night long. Pretty soon, I nearly sobered up from the liquor and was getting drunk off of her. My friends were ready to move on, but I wasn't. I wanted to stay and chat with Kelly longer. Sensing this, she gave my friends her number and promised to get me home safely. No stranger had ever offered to do such a thing before. I was used to being coaxed into bed and disposed of without a second thought. Though I didn't know her well, I felt safe. I believed her. I felt cared for in a way I never remember feeling. So we stayed there talking until last call. She told me about her ex-husband in an emotionally sound way. She described her travels to me, told me all about running her art gallery. She beamed from head to toe when she talked about her passions. Seeing her so animated made her even more attractive, not to mention her openness, attentiveness, and genuine curiosity about me. When it was time to go, she asked me without hesitation if I wanted a nightcap at her place. I responded with confidence. I must have picked up from her that I loved that. I followed her into the dusky morning. It was a short walk to her place. I concentrated on my breath, which fogged in the chilly air. When we got to her townhouse, decorated in the elegant way that I had begun to associate with Kelly, she told me to make myself at home. She gave me a glass of red, put on a record by a group I never heard of, and proceeded to ask more questions. What's your favorite movie? Tell me about what it was like growing up here. What are your dreams? She shared more details about herself. I love to go back to Rome. I miss my siblings. They live on the East Coast. I like to collect cute catch-all ceramics. Pretty soon I found myself clumsily dancing, tumbling over my two left feet in the middle of her living room. Inevitably, I wound up on the floor laughing at myself, but without embarrassment. She laughed and settled next to me on the floor. Eventually, everything but the music grew silent. Then her hand found mine. I didn't pull away. I let the warmth of her touch travel through me. I rolled onto my side and let my lips meet hers. It was a while before we came up for air. When we did, we didn't slow down. I found my hands tangled in her hair while her lips trailed from my neck to my collarbone. Her hands made their way up my shirt, fingering my nipple until it stood at attention for her. Soon she led me to her bedroom, led me to her king-size bed, and had her way with me, let me have mine with her. She was so patient with me, teaching me how to love her, communicating her wants and needs. I drank up the knowledge like I'd been thirsting for my entire adult life. She called me good girl whenever I pleased her. I craved the validation, enjoyed her praise. Good girl, she whispered, and my chest would tighten in that way it does when someone finally gives you what you didn't know you'd been missing. I wasn't just trying to please her, I was trying to be chosen, to be seen as worthy. What could I say? I was a grade A people pleaser. So I worked harder at whatever I was good at, whatever would make her sing good girl. We took turns dipping into each other's oceans, turning each other into waterfalls until we were too tired to move. As I got up to leave, she grabbed my hand, smiled at me. No words were needed. I knew she wanted me to stay. I settled back into the bed, and she pulled me into her arms. It was nice to stay and cuddle, another thing I wasn't used to. She kissed my back, and her breath softened as she drifted off. I lay there thinking about how nice the whole experience had been. Being cared for like this was disarming. It was the first time I'd felt safe in someone's bed, not used, needed, or managing someone else's emotions, just held physically and emotionally. It was the kind of comfort I pretended I didn't need, though I always did. I didn't know how much until that night. Maybe that's why I was drawn to Kelly in the first place. It was more than a hookup. Even if I didn't see Kelly again, she'd given me something that no one else had. Knowing that this existed changed my view of relationships, both what I wanted and what I deserved. Also, sorry, I should have given a not safe for work spiel at the beginning, warning at the beginning, but yeah. Thank you. And I have not really been using my personal page, but you can find me at, and I'll type it in, Quoted by Jhané on Instagram. And then I mainly have been on or checking this page, which is my magazine page, the Three Panels Press. And we have various issues and things. So definitely follow along, submit. I know Sandra, Adam are here. They've been in the magazine. Rachel's been in the magazine. So we'll love to have you guys submit some stuff. And yeah, just follow along with the journey. So it's nice to be here with everyone and to read and thank you all for the comments and everything and the support. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jhané. I chose this piece because, at the time I was reading your book, I should have known by the way you kissed me, out with Parleyerie, our shared press. And this spoke to me about that, like the first night you meet somebody and being able to capture that in such a beautiful way. So I really liked that. And you just put out your silver issue over at Three Panel. And what's your next? Do we know your next thing?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't even mention the book. Yeah, I just put out and co-authored a book with Kay called I Should Have Known by the Way You Kissed Me through Parleyerie Press. So definitely take a look at that. Lots of poetry, lots of more queer themes, more like relationship themes. So definitely take a look at that. And yes, we just put out Silver Thread. That was our sixth issue. So our seventh issue we'll probably start accepting for in August. And it is called Constellations. So art, poetry, prose, photography, we accept. And we'll probably look for like a guest editor to help us with that one. So if anyone's interested in that, keep an eye out.
Wonderful. Thank you. We have two other EICs here if they would like to share, Clarabelle or Melissa, if you'd like to share about upcoming calls you have, feel free to do so.
Sure. We're taking a few months off at Moss Puppy Magazine, and then we are opening for issue 11, which is going to be themed Wild Wishes on January 1st, 2027.
Great. Wonderful.
And I can jump in again. I'm not going to turn my camera on because I'm still away from home. Can you all still hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yes, so I'm the editor of Carmina magazine, and we publish twice a year. So our September issue is coming up soon. And then we've got our March issue. Those are our regular issues. Carmina is looking for anything and everything to do with myth. And I love when people interpret that in all kinds of different ways. Very, very loose with that definition. So interpret broadly, freely, imaginatively. I love seeing all of it. And then we also have our first special themed mini issue for loosely for Halloween. It'll be coming out in October, so we're looking for submissions for that too. I've titled that Monsters and Cryptids, but really just anything creepy, werewolves, vampires, scary stories, underworld, just anything that's loosely Halloween-ish adjacent. Again, I love seeing the wide range of what people come up with. So if you're not sure if something's a good fit, just send it in anyway and we'll figure it out. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. And if you announce your calls here, I'm sure you're sure to get some high quality submissions coming through because this is a great group, which I handpicked myself. So I have an ask. Retired Wannabe Club Kid that's out with Parlia Repress is in hardback only right now. The paperback's coming next month. So if you can request it this month at your library will be forced to order the hardback. And why that's important is because hardbacks last longer on the shelf. So they are pulled less often from your library shelves by the people going through to do the rotations. When they are pulled, they end up being sold then secondhand, at these library sales. They're more likely to be picked up by a patron and taken home as a hardback. So that's why I'd like to request that you order it as a hardback for its longevity for your local library. Usually they allow you to do this through a form, or you can just talk to a librarian. If you can do that this month for me, that would be wonderful because they don't have the paperback option yet. Please send me a picture of it at your library or tell me you did that. That would be really helpful to me. I'm, of course, always here to help you with your projects as well. Thank you so much for being here. Poetry in Brief is going to take a little break for August to September because even though she doesn't want to, Poetry in Brief is doing in-person events in the Colorado area. You can find out about those events if you know anybody over here on my website, tourneytalks.com. In-person events, unless you hand your book to somebody and say, hey, will you go buy this book? It just doesn't happen. So I'm really trying to support my small presses by getting out there more, even though as Sandra knows, I really hate to read and more so hate to go places just in general. So I'll be doing that for the next couple of months. And we'll come back in October with something Halloween-y. And I'm also going to do a second magazine in October. I'm going to try to include people who weren't in our first edition, though, and then later calls will open up to you again as well. Thank you so much for being here. You're welcome to stay on. I'm stopping the recording now.